Hello, today we're going to learn how to find the perimeter of rectilinear figures. Now the word rectilinear is a new vocabulary word for many of you. That means in geometry, a rectilinear figure can be defined as a plane figure or shape all of whose sides meet at right angles. At the bottom here are all examples of rectilinear figures, and you're going to recognize that you see many right angles. In fact, all of these rectilinear figures consist of squares and rectangles, but they're all put together to form one figure. Today, we're going to be learning how to find the perimeter of all of these rectilinear figures. For example, here's a rectilinear figure. As you can see, you might be able to find squares, rectangles, and here many rectangles that are put together to form this one figure. Our goal is to find the perimeter. Now, you guys have been learning all about perimeter of rectangles and squares, and you knew to successfully find the perimeter, you had to add all four sides. However, in these figures here, you're going to have more than four sides. Your goal is to make sure you include every single side that you are adding together to find the perimeter. Now, we're going to do the same steps and we're going to add all the sides we see. So first here we see 34 centimeters plus 3 centimeters plus 18 centimeters plus 5 centimeters plus 16 centimeters plus 8 centimeters. It's a lot of numbers we have to add together. So I recommend taking it into steps. Now, what I'm going to first do is look at all the double digit numbers I have. I have 34 centimeters plus 18 centimeters plus 16 centimeters. So I'm going to add those three numbers first because adding together all six numbers at once might be a lot. So I'm taking it into pieces to make my life a little bit easier. So 6 plus 4 is 10, plus 8 is 18. 3 plus 1 is 4, 4 plus 1 is 5, 5 plus 1 is 6. So now I have 68 centimeters. And what I also like to do is outline the sides. So like I know I did 34 centimeters. I know I did 18 centimeters, and I know I also included 16 centimeters. But the three sides that are not in red I have left to do. So now I'm going to add 8 plus 5 plus 3, which you're going to find is 16. So now before I add these together, I'm going to finish outlining those sides as well, just to make sure I included all my sides. So I did 8 centimeters, I did 5 centimeters, and I did 3 centimeters. So now I did find the sum of all of these sides. I made sure I included everything, and I didn't leave out a side length. So now what's left to do is I'm going to add my two numbers together, 68 plus 16, to find the total perimeter. So now I have 14, 6 plus 1 is 7, 7 plus 1 is 8, and I have a total of 84 centimeters as my total perimeter of this rectilinear figure. Now notice I'm starting to use this new vocabulary word to describe this figure. It's important to recognize that we just found the perimeter of this rectilinear figure that happens to be 84 centimeters. Now this next problem here, we also have another rectilinear figure similar to the previous one, just everything's in a little different direction. And as you can see, it consists of rectangles and squares that are put together to form one figure. So what we're going to do first is we're going to look at all the sides. I'm looking around this rectilinear figure and I see all the side lengths. And what's great is this is already given to me. So just like the previous problem, I'm going to do only 3 numbers at a time. You can also do 2 and do it in a few steps. That's absolutely fine. But to make my life a little easier, I know that I have 10 plus 8 plus 4. So now when I add this together, I get 22. Now, just like I did in the previous problem, I'm also going to outline the sides just to make sure I know that I included them all. This just helps me make sure I included all side lengths and keeping myself on track so I don't leave anything out. Now what's left, I have 5 plus 6 plus 3, which I'm going to be left with 14. Now, yes, I'm writing all of these steps out to make it easier, to make sure I have everything included. So these problems here, you're going to need scrap paper. You can sketch out the rectilinear figures and you can rewrite this. Notice I'm showing this work. It's important to do that to make sure that you get the right answer. Now my last step is I'm going to add 22 plus 14, and that's going to give me my total perimeter of 36 centimeters. So notice when I'm looking around this entire rectilinear figure, I'm looking and I see that I have 36 centimeters as my total perimeter. Now in the past I've talked about finding the perimeter is another example of, let's say, you putting a fence around your backyard. Not everything you do is going to be a perfect rectangle or square. You might have a combination of maybe 2 or 3 rectangles forming your backyard, and your fence that you want to put around might not be a perfect rectangle, but instead it might look something like this, maybe 2 rectangles combined. Maybe you want to include the side of your house as well. Okay, this is when you're going to be applying this information, but notice you're still doing the same steps as before when we were finding the perimeter of a rectangle. The only difference is now you're adding more than 4 side lengths, because these rectilinear figures might have 4, 5, 6, 7, as many side lengths as the figure has. So it's important that you always take a look at the figure given to you and determine what sides and how many side lengths there are. Then look at the numbers that are given to you and determine how are you going to find the sum of all the side lengths is all you need to do to find the perimeter of this rectilinear figure. As always, feel free to rewatch this video on my YouTube channel. Thank you.